So here, so we have completed the data flow task, and now let me go for execute SQL task. So what we will do is, as the name suggests, we will execute any SQL queries. Okay, using this task, we will execute any SQL queries. Okay. Now we can go and see. Okay, now you can execute any SQL query. Okay, so let me start with the create table and insert data and update data and okay, and selecting the data like that. Okay, now let us see. So I want to write a create command here. Okay, so let us say create table query. So I'm just giving some name, and first of all we have to specify. You can see where you want to create a table, in which database, in which server. We have to specify the create a connection here. Okay, now let us go and see. So click on new connection. So we just need to create a connection. Okay, now let me click on new one more time. Okay, and here you can go and specify the server name. So our SQL server name is Balaji-PC. Our SQL server name is Balaji-PC. Let us go and specify it. Okay. Now in this server, which database? So select the appropriate database. Let me select the DB Sai. So let me select DB Sai. Okay, click on it. So I want to create a table in this DB Sai 7 database. Okay. Now, so SQL source type means you are writing a direct query, no? Then you can select direct input. Or if your query is present inside a file in any text file, you can go and select this file. Or you are writing a query inside a variable, your query is already present inside a variable, you can go and select this option. Now let me go for direct input. Now let us see that. Let me write a create table, table underscore. So you can create any table, okay? Create table, table name. So let us say EMP task. Okay. Let me go for SQL task. Okay. And let us specify the column names. So let us say EMP integer, okay. And EMP name, let us say name as varchar, okay, 20. And if you want, you can go and click on it. So create table, table name, EMP name, and let us specify the one more column. Let us say age or salary. Okay. Now I have created a table. Now if you want to check the syntax, okay, you can go and parse your query. So by parse prepare, let me make it as parse. Let me make it as parse query. Now you can see the query is parse means it is saying that there is no syntax error like that. Okay. Okay, now I clicked on build query. Okay, let it be. Okay. So now let us go and see. So you have just written a create table command. Okay. Now is this create table command is going to result any data for you? Is it returning the any data for you? No, no. Then you have to make the result set as none only. Okay. And let me click on it. We have just written a simple query. Okay. Click on it. Now you can go and execute this. If you want to execute, you can go and execute this. Now it will go and create a table in the DB-SSIS database with the name table underscore SQL task. Okay. Now we can go and see in the SQL database. Okay. So let me connect to the server and let us connect to the DB-SSIS database. So let me go to the DB-SSIS and click on new query. Now let us see. Select star from table underscore SQL underscore task. So now you can see a table is created with 3 columns. Okay. Now let us go and drag one more time. Let us write the SQL task to insert the data into this table. So let me go and write insert data command. Okay. Now, so where is your table? So into which table you want to insert the data? And the table is present in which database? That is DB-SSIS. Now let me go and write insert into table. So what is your table name? Table underscore SQL task. Okay, you can go and see. You can write it here also. SQL task values. Now let us see. So values, what are the values? Let us say employee ID 1, some name as Krishna. Okay, and some salary as let us say some 42. Okay, click on it. Okay, now is this insert query is going to result any data for you? No, no. Then the result set can be none. Okay, click on it. Okay, now we can go and execute this one more time. Now we can go and execute this. So which will insert the data into your table. Okay, which will insert the data into the table. Now you can go and execute your query here and let me execute it. Now you can see we have inserted some data. Okay. Now if you want to read this table data, okay, if you want to read this table data, okay, then what you can do? Okay, so if you want to read this table data, then you can go and use your, now let us see. So what I want to do is I want to read the data from this database. Okay, I want to read the data from this database DB-SSIS from this table. And after reading it, I want to push the data into any other database. Okay, I want to push the data into any other database table. Okay, now let us see how we can do that. Okay, so let me go and drag and drop the execute SQL task. Now what I want to do, I want to first of all read the table. Okay, I want to read the table data. And your table is present in which database? That is in DB-SSIS. Okay, and so to read the data, we have to write a select statement. No? Now let us say select star from table SQL task. Okay. Now this select statement is returning how many records? Now you can see if I execute this table, so how many records I'm getting? First of all, is it returning the data or not? Yes, it is returning some data for us. Okay, this select statement is returning some data result set for us. Okay. Now, if this query is going to return you the data, then you have to go to the result set and now it is returning the data. Now, is it returning the single row or multiple rows? It is returning now single row. No? Then select this single row. Okay. Now, let us go to the result set. After setting the result set to single row, let us go to the result set here. Now click on add. Now here the result name is, what is the first column name? The first column, this result contains 3 columns. No? Now what is the first column name? EMP ID. No? Now what I can do is, since I want to push this data into any other database table, so I'm capturing the values here. So my first column name is EMPID. Okay, okay, my first column name is EMPID. So since SSIS is case sensitive, let me put the same case. Second column name is employee name. Now this employee value, so in which variable you want to store. Now let us go on create a variable to store the employee value. Okay, let me go and give the name as variable empid. Okay, and what is the data type? It is integer. No? It goes. Okay, you can go and give some. Since it is integer value, you can go and give some default value. Okay, click on it. Now you are getting the first column data and we are putting the data in one of the variable. Now now you can see my second column name is employee name, no, e name, no. Now you can go and add it, and let me put the data as e name. And now this employee name I want to store it in another variable. Let me go and create a new variable, one more new variable. Now let me create the variable name as v underscore ename, variable ename, and it is of string data type. Now let it be string. Click on OK. Now we have one more column, that is third column, that is salary. So I want to capture the what is your column name, that is the salary column. I want to capture the salary information into one of the variable. Let me create one more variable. Okay. Let us specify v underscore salary. And salary value is integer data type. No, let me select it as integer 32. And since it is integer value, I want to provide some default value. Click on OK. Okay, like this. Now, what I have done is, so I have written the select command here, and since it is written with the single row data, I have set the result set as single row, and these column values, okay, I am capturing in one of the result. Okay, in the result set, I have specified the which column names, and these values I am putting in list of variables. Okay, I am putting in variables. Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
if you have lot of records, then we have to create for every column.
A
If
lot
we
of
have lot of column.
columns. Huh? Yes, if
Yeah.
it is written in the single row, one more way is there. Okay, without writing these columns. Okay, so I will show you that one also. So usually
Okay.
we won't get single row, no. Okay, we'll get
Yeah.
multiple rows, no. So in that
Yeah.
I can tell you one more way. Okay,
Okay.
so this is for
Sir.
single row set. This is for single row
Okay.
set. So let me
Sir,
go.
you created for every execute SQL task. You created one is for creating table, one is for inserting table. Can't we do in one execute task like creating and inserting in same execute task?
Yeah, that also you can do. But better to create a separate task. Why? Because if the create command fails, no,
Okay.
okay, even though if the create command fails, if you want to execute the next command, so that you can set if you have individual tasks. Okay, suppose if you create both here itself, if you go and write here itself,
Yeah.
so if you go and write everything here, what will happen is, so if it is a individual task, better to maintain separately. Suppose if you write both here and if your table is already present, okay,
Okay.
so the first query will fail, no? This
Yeah.
entire task will fail.
Okay.
But if you have set it individually,
Mm-hmm.
what we can do is, even though the first command fails, even though the first task fails, we can go and set it as completion. Now what will happen
So
if I
that
set it as completion? So even
second
though
will
if it
get
fails, the second will get executed.
executed. Yeah.
Okay, so that option you will miss. Okay,
Okay.
so based upon your requirement, you can decide. But there is an
Okay.
option, yes, that is a possibility that you can write multiple commands.
Okay, sir.
Now we are reading the result set as single row, and we have copied the list of column values in multiple variables. Okay. Now after reading the data, what you want to do, you want to push the data into another database table. No? Then let us go for execute SQL task. Okay, let us go for execute SQL task, and we want to push the data. No? Now let us go and write. So push the data into another table, like this. Now let us go for specify that in which database you want to push. Now let us say, let me create a one more new connection. So let us see that I want to push the data into. So let us see. I have one database called DB Krishna 14. No? I want to push the data into this database. Now let me create a table in the DB Krishna 14. First of all, with the same columns. Okay. So just for understanding purpose, I am creating here. So let us say table underscore SQL underscore output. Okay. Let us say we have the columns like empid, RID, integer, name, varchar, okay, and salary. Okay. Now in this table you want to push the data. Now go to here. Now what you want to do, we have a table insert and you want to insert the data into the table. No? So insert into which table? This is my table. Okay. Now what values you want to insert? You want to insert the values present inside the variables. No? So here you can go and see. So the result set, you are putting these column names, column values into three different variables. No? Now whatever the values present in these variables, okay, you want to push it here. Okay. Now this table also has three columns. Now you can see ID column, name column, and salary. Now how can I push the values into this table is insert into table name values, and you can go and specify. So you don't know what value are coming in the variable, no? Then you can go and specify question mark, comma, question mark, comma, question mark. Okay. So whatever the values are coming in that variables, those values I need to push it here. Okay. So I should not hard code, no? So that's why I'm putting the three question marks here. Okay. Now, how to pass the variable values into these three question marks? So how we can pass it is, we can go and use the parameter section here. Now you can see we have one section called parameter mapping section. Okay. And now here we have an option to provide the variables as a parameters. Okay. Now you can say I'm clicking on add, and here let us go and specify. So whatever the variable we have created, no, it will be shown here. Okay. Now employee ID, and let me add one more variable. So we have three columns now. One first we are also getting the data in employee ID. Now employee name. Let me go and add one more variable, salary. Okay. Now your query contains three columns, so that's why your table contains three columns. So that's why I have inserted three question marks, I have mentioned three question marks, and the values for these question marks will be passed from this parameter mapping section. Okay. Now after specifying the list of values, okay, now employee ID, all are input parameters. No, yes, all are input parameters. Now employee ID data type is long. Long means equivalent to integer. Either you can take long, or you can see we have the large integer, we have the integer, you can see we have the large integer, and we can see numeric also will be there. Long is there, and also we have one more thing, that is numeric also is. You can take any one. Okay. Now salary also long, that is okay. Now employee name is string value, no? So it is a varchar value, no? Now you can go and select it as varchar. Okay, like this. And now next thing is, so this parameter value will need to sit in which question mark? We have three question mark, no? We have three question marks. So the first parameter, this employee employee value, I need to pass it to the first parameter, no? Okay, so in your table, first column is employee ID, that is ID. Okay, so here whatever the first value, that is employee ID, you need to pass it to the first question mark. Then you have to specify the position here. Now our position start with the index position start with the 0. Okay, so this variable value need to be passed for first question mark, and employee name value present in this variable employee name need to be passed to the second question mark. Salary value variable value need to be passed to the third question, like this. Okay, so we have to specify the parameter positioning, and after that we have the parameter size, like integer means 8, varchar means whether you can specify varchar 20 or 30, like this. -1 means it will take max. Okay, so let it be -1, no problem. Okay. Now let us click on OK. So that's it. Okay, so we have gone to the general section, and we have specified the, since I need to insert the data, okay, coming in the variables. Okay, so first of all what we have done is, let me go to this. So we are reading the data from the table which is present in one of the database DB-SIS. Okay, and it is giving me single row data. Okay, that's why I have selected the result set as single row. Now I have gone to the result set, and I have specified the, okay, so in that query what are the column names you are getting. So we have specified those column names, the corresponding values we are pushing into, okay, into variable names as the temporary storage. Okay, that's it. We are doing it in the first task. Okay, after pushing the data into the variables, so here in the second task what we are doing is, we are getting those variables and put, and okay, and specifying some parameter position, and we are writing the insert command, and we need to write the question marks, and whatever the parameter value based upon the position, those values will come and sit in these positions. Okay, corresponding question marks. Now, so this is the insert command, no? So is this going to give you any result? No. Okay, this is not a select command. This is the insert command, no? So it is not going to give me any result. Then let it, the result set should be done. Okay, like this. Now, after doing this, what you want to do? So you want to execute these two separately. Okay. So if I click on entire project, entire package, then every task will start executing. Okay, and I don't want these two tasks execute one more time. I don't want these two tasks to execute one more time. I want only these two to be executed separately. Okay, suppose if I execute this task, what it will happen? It will just execute this single task and it will stop. So why? Because we are not executing the package. we are executing only this single task. Now you can see it is not continuing to the next one. Why? Because we have executed only the particular task, but not the package. Now what I want to do is I need to execute these two as a single unit. Then in that case, what you can do is we can see we have one containers. From that, we can drag and drop one sequence container. Okay. Now what this sequence contain? It will like a, if it is a package is a big box, this will act like a small box. Okay. It contain a package inside another package. Like, okay, it will act like a box in which I can put the multiple items. Now you can see I can put these two inside this container. Okay. I have put the required two tasks inside the container, and now we have an option to execute the container here. Now you can see we have an option to execute the container which will execute all the tasks present inside it. Now you can see we are able to execute these two separately. And now we are reading the data from one of the database and we are putting the data into DB Krishna 14, one of the table escape output. Now let us go and see in this database whether any data is pushed or not. Now you can see the data is pushed into the another database table like this. Okay. Now let us see. Now let me insert multiple records. Now in this table, in the source table, so let me go and write multiple records. Okay. Now let me repeat this statement multiple times. Okay, what I want to do is I want to insert some more records. Okay, employee 1 Krishna is already there. No? Let me go for 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let me give some names. Okay, some names I have given. And now let me go for some salary. 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. Now let me give some different salary. Now we are inserting the, so there is no syntax error, no? Yes, there is no syntax error. Let me click. Now we can see we are inserting multiple records. Now let me go and execute this. Now you can see we have executed the data. Now you can go and check your source table. How many records are there? Now you can go and see we are having multiple records here. Okay. Now let us see how we can insert this table. Okay. Just take it. So now this table contains multiple records. No? Now let us see whether if I select the single row, whether it will work or not. Okay. Now if I go and say, now this command will give me not one single record, it will give me multiple records. Okay, now let us see whether if I execute it, what will happen. Now you can see it has executed, it has not thrown any error. Now, but let us see the data. Now let us go to the destination and let us see one more time. Now you can see it has taken only the first record. Okay, it has taken only the first record. It has not considered the remaining records. Now if you can go and see, let me delete it one more time. Okay, now I have deleted the data. Now you can go and see if I execute it, it will take only the first record. So it is not throwing error, but it is inserting only the first record. Okay, like this. But if you have multiple records, then how to insert multiple records? So if you have multiple
Sir,
records, then how we can go it is, yes tell me.
sir, if you execute again, it was inserted in the same row, right?
Yes, it is taking only the first record.
First, I mean, if we execute multiple times, then it will take only the first record
Yes,
every time.
yes, yes, yes.
It gonna happen the same duplicate data in every row.
Now we have not written any command for that, no? Okay, so if you don't want to insert the duplicate data, then we have to write one more command. So we have to go and write checking like if the data is already present. Means you know that by using the lookup, you can do that lookup, no? So if the data is already present, we have to do the update. If a new record, we have to insert. That is one option. And here, if you want to handle this, then you can go and write one event handler for that. If the record is already present, okay, we can go and delete it and reinsert it. Okay, or while inserting the data, here also you can go and write a checking here. So you can go and write a if else condition. Okay, so how we can do that is if the data is already there, so you can go and write if exists. Okay, select star from okay table SQL output, table SQL output where empid equal to whatever the value that is question mark. Okay, if empid equal to first question mark now, so here again we have to write since we have three question marks, but that is parameter mapping four question marks. Okay, now begin and end. Okay, the value is already present. If that employee ID is already present, then you don't want to insert, no? You don't want to insert, you just want to update. Okay,
Yeah.
or if you don't want to do anything, okay. So based upon that, you can go and write your query. Let us say update, okay, set update table, table underscore SQL underscore. Okay, let me make it the same case, SQL underscore output, set salary equal to question mark, where empid equal to question mark. Okay, like this. Else, you can go on use this insert command. Else, begin and end. Okay, like this. But how many question marks are there? One, two. Okay, you can see we have multiple question marks is there. Okay, now what you can do? Okay, so we have multiple question marks. So we can go and let us go and see. So for the first question mark, we have to pass the employee ID. Now that is already done. Okay, for the first question mark, you are passing the employee ID. Okay, now for the second question mark, what we have to do? For the second question mark, here we have to pass it for salary. So here in the salary second question mark, let me pass the salary. And in the third question mark, so again employed. Third question mark is pointed to again employed, Now let us go and specify employed one more time. And let us say this is also long. Okay, this is also long. Okay. Now for the fourth question mark, so insert into table name. Okay. Fourth question mark, that is again employed. Add one more employee. Okay. And now question mark position is 3. Okay. Now go to the general section. We have to pass. So 3 question marks for employee name and salary. I can go and say that we add one more employee name and salary. Okay, like this. Now let us see. This is for fourth question mark and this is for fifth question. Understood? Okay, so how many question marks are there? Okay, 1, 2. We go and see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. We have to pass the respective count. We are passing the 6 question marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we have to pass the corresponding question marks to the variable values. Now let us see what will happen. Now let us go and see. So the data is already there. Yes, the data is already there. Now let us go and execute it one more time. Now let us see whether this will execute successfully or not. Okay. Okay. So yeah, here we have ID and there you are specifying EMP ID, So that's why. So let us go and see. So here we are writing the employee ID here, but this table contains column name as ID here. So the output table contains column name as ID here. Let me go and specify it as ID. Okay, now let me go and say EMP ID is not there. Let me go and say ID. Okay. So we have the salary column. So let it be same case. Okay. Okay, now let me run it one more time. Now you can go and see how many records are there. Already one is there. Okay. Now let us go and execute. Now you can see it is executed successfully, means it should not insert the data. Okay, the data should not be there. Okay. Now let us go and see output. So it should not insert one more record, it should just update it. Okay. Now if we delete it, now there is no data, there is nothing, at least one record also is not there. Now in this case it has to insert. If the data is not there, okay, then it has to insert it. Now let me go and execute this. Now you can go and see. If I go and execute this, there should be one. Okay. Understood?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, now this is for a single record insertion. Okay. Now if I want to insert multiple records, what I have to do? Okay. Now first of all, let us go and get this. Now let us go to this, and here let me go and write. So first of all, I need to read the data, no? So read the table data. Okay, read multiple records. Okay, read the multiple records table. Now, in which database your source table is present, that is the DB-SCI7. Now, what is the table name? So this is the table name which contains 5 records. Okay. Now let's go to this, and here you can go and write select star from. Okay. Table SQL task. Okay. Now after this, now this query is giving you a single record or multiple records. It is going to give you the multiple record. No? And the result set should be yes. The result set yes. It is resulting the data, and now it is resulting not the single row. It is resulting with a full result set, more than one record. Okay. Now after setting this option, go to the result set. Now click on add. Now it is going to result you the entire table data. Okay, it is going to result the multiple records. Then you have to specify the result name as 0. Okay, and now I want to store the entire data, entire this 5 records data. Okay, entire these 3 columns and 5 records data into one table object. Okay, so since it is getting us more than one record, I need to go and specify the result name as 0, and I want to capture that entire data into one of the, let me give some variable name as variable object or variable table. Okay, I have given some variable name, and this type is, it is not a varchar or integer, it is a entire data I want to store. Then let us declare it as an object variable. Okay, so let me take this variable as a object type, object data type. Okay, that's it. Okay. So you are reading the data, and this query is giving you multiple records. Then set the full result set as full result set. Go to here. Since you are getting more than one record, make it as result name as 0, and push the entire data into one of the table object. That's it. Now, after this, what we have to do is you have to insert the data into one of the other database table. Let us take the same table. Okay, now let us see any records are there. Yes, I have one record. Let me delete this record also. Okay, now there are no records. I need to insert the data into this table. Okay, then what can I do is, so let me go and take one more execute SQL task. Okay, and here I have to specify. So if I directly go and write, you can go and write it as, first of all, let me take the database destination database, and where you want to insert, I want to insert into the table called insert into. Okay, what is our output table name? Table SQL. Okay, insert into this table. Okay, values, and this table has 3 columns. Let us specify 3 question mark. Okay, now go to the parameter mapping. Now your data is coming in one of the variable called object variable. No? Now you can see we are able to see it. So you are getting the entire data table data here. Now how can I pass? How can I split the data into 3 columns? So that is not possible here. No? So you are not getting the data into 3 different variables. You are getting the data into a table object. Then how can I split? Okay, so here I cannot do that. Now in order to do that, what can I do is I can take the help of, I should not directly pass the data into this variable. I can take the help of one of the container. You can see we have one more container called for each loop containers. Okay, for each loop containers. Now what does this for each loop container will do is I will send the table output into this for each loop container. Okay, I will send the table output into this for each loop container, and let us open this. Now this container, if we go to the collection, so we have one enumerator type, means what type of uh, which object, for which object I need to enum. Means enum means applying looping concept. Okay. So for which object I need to loop. Okay. So your source data is coming inside a file or folder? No. So if your source data is a any text file, any notepad file, or if your source data is present inside a folder, physical folder, then you have to go and select it as file enumerate. Or if you have any hard coded items, if you want to loop through the hard coded items, then I have to go for item enumerate. And third one is ADO enumerator. ADO means active database object. Okay. So if your source data is present in any object variable, yes, my data is present inside a object now. So then I have to select it as ADO enumerate. Okay. Now after selecting this, you can see it is asking for, okay, in which variable your data is coming. You can go and select, yes, my data is present in this object variable. Okay. What this for each loop container will do is, so this table is containing multiple records. No? So this table, let us say ID value. Okay, this table is containing three columns, name and salary. Okay, and this is containing multiple record also. No? Let us say 1000. Okay, 2B 2000. So it is containing multiple records like this. Okay. Now what this enumerator, what this for each loop enumerator will do is, first of all it will go into the rows of the table. Okay. And here you can see that, so it will loop through the stable object data. Okay. So now what it will do is it will go to the first record. Okay, it will go to this first record. Okay. First of all, it will go to the first row and get the ID value. Now you can see again we are having the same structure. Now if we want, you can reuse these variables at any time. Okay. Now it will go to the first record and it will get this value, that is first column value, and it is asking for, okay, this value I need to store it in which variable. Either you can go and create new variable, or if you want to reuse the existing variable, you can go and select. Okay. Index 0 means first column data. Okay. Now we have next one is name. Now that value I want to store it again in one more variable called employee name. That is the index one is second column data. And we have one more variable called vSalary. Let me reuse it. Now the third column data will be stored in this variable. Okay. So first of all, it will send the first row data, okay, into this variables. Okay. It will connect to this table object and it will send the first row data into this variables. That's it. Okay. And now,
Here also,
yes.
sir, here also we need to create we are creating the column for the variables, right, sir?
So here is the position of the columns. 0, 1, 2 means 0 is the first column data.
Yeah, but if we have more columns also,
So you
the
can,
same thing
yes,
will
yes, you can go and create multiple variables.
so we have to create for every column.
Yeah, for every
Here,
column, one variable you have to create.
okay.
Okay, like,
But before also we have done same thing, but we are giving the positions for that
yes,
variables.
yes. We are giving the column names and we are putting into the variables. Now here we are getting the column indexes, index position of the columns, and we are putting it in this. Yeah, that is
Sir,
true.
if we,
Suppose if I have something like 15 columns or 10 columns, okay, we have to specify that the data into multiple variables.
sir, can you please click on new variable? Then how it will show here if we
So in the same way, now let us go and see new variable. So how it has shown in the earlier section.
earlier.
Now let us say variable underscore salary. You can go and use the existing one, or you can go and create a new one.
So we have to specify the data type here.
Yes, here also same data type you have to specify. Okay, like this.
Okay, sir.
So what it will do is, first of all, it will connect to this table object and it will go to the first row and get the data of first row and put it into these variables. Okay,
Okay.
now we can go to this again. So whatever the insert command is, I am putting into this execute SQL task inside the for each loop. Okay, now first of all, we are getting the first record data. Okay, so let us go and write, okay, in which database your destination is present in the TV Krishna 14. Now we can copy this statement here. Now let us write the insert command. So insert into, okay, which table, my output table is present in which, okay, table underscore SQL output values, okay, three questions. Okay, like this, and the values for these three question mark will be passed from this variable section. Let us go and create three variables. Let us specify. I can see variable employee name, and variable salary. Now all these are input. Now data type is employee long, employee name. Let me make it as varchar, salary long. That is okay. And you have to give the parameter position as 0, 1, and 2. Now this for each loop container, first time it will send the first record data, and this command will execute. This insert command will execute here. Okay. Insert data into output table. Okay. Next time what it will do, it will send the for each loop will send after executing this command. No, it will send the second record, and after executing this second record will go through this task and this will get inserted, and after that the for each loop container will send the third record, fourth record, fifth record, like that. Okay, so in order to send one by one record, I have used this for each loop container.
But
Okay,
we are doing the same thing for the single row and the full set row, right? Uh,
so here we are not
because
doing the same thing, no?
I mean,
Say
no, sir, not same thing, but we are doing this parameter mapping section.
yes, that is same. So we are getting the data into full result set and we are putting into table object, and using the for each
So,
loop container, we are
so
connecting
first
to the
we will be,
yeah,
sir, first we are creating the variables in for loop, right? So,
yes,
I mean, variable mappings in for loop each content, each editor.
yes, yes,
So we will be creating the variables here. That variables we are using in the insert command
yes,
where we.
yes. This
Okay.
variables we are using it here.
So no need
I
to
can
create any variables here. So we'll be
yes,
already creating for each, and then we are using that variables
yes,
here.
yes, that's it.
Okay. Okay, sir.
And
But in
remaining and all same.
single row we'll be using only one time. We'll be creating the variables there. That's it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Now I want to execute these two separately. Okay. Now what I
Mm.
can do, I can again take one. I want to execute these two separately. Now let me go and take one more sequence container. Okay, and put this entire logic. Okay, cut it and paste it inside this. Okay, now let me go and drag and drop it. Now let me go and execute it. So now you can see it will get the entire table data. Okay, and put it in a one table object. And now you can see it is going to the container, loop container, and one by one record will go inside and it will execute this logic. Now you can go and see your table data contains multiple records or not. See, all the records are pushed into this destination table. Okay, like this. So in tomorrow class we will see some more queries like how we can execute a store procedure also.
Yeah.
Okay, how we can execute a multiple types of store procedures. I stop now.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sir. Thank you, sir.